It's probably just one of those things, right? Like you have teams that just kind of invite you to take those position ones because they may feel like they just play around or rather against them very well. Mirana will come out though, YG. They'll go down this route. Should be a position 4. We were seeing some position 1 Mirana on the tail end of that last patch, so it still wouldn't surprise me if Mirana was being picked up here as a POS 1. But again, it's just highly doubtful, especially for a newer team like YG. I don't see them experimenting against a team like Boom Esports. But then again, I suppose you never know. I personally love to see the POS 1 Mirana coming out, but or at least for now, it's still open. The Ember's going to fly out from YG. We talked about it. They banned Invoker. They're going to take a Spirit Brother. Ember Spirit is the one they want. Suppose Yopaj now, if he does want to, he could go into the Void Spirit. We have seen that matchup quite a lot as of late. Suppose heroes like the Kunkka as well could be quite nice here against the Ember. It's up to Yopaj. He's a very, very flexible mid player, so he can pretty much just play anything in that mid lane if he so wishes. See what he does prioritize, but I dare say the Void, Storm Spirit even, especially Kunkka. I think they all just fit very nicely here.
Yeah, just plays with how tanky your pause for Clockwork is. And the Marses, they go with a Puck instead, so piling onto the team fight they have on hand. The Puck is relatively hard to pin down. Like, Ember Mirana's your best lockdown duo. Chains into Arrow, not the most reliable. So Yopaj has a lot of ways of just dodging out ganks, jumping into the back line, getting the Dream Coil off. You have ways to break the Dream Coil as well with a Spear, although it's not something we see emphasized all too much. But that play potential is there. Even a Clockwork Cog's pushback can kind of help you with the Dream Coil. So a lot of good ways of playing around for Boom. Of course, with a Puck on hand, they also don't have the best ways of locking in an Ember. With a Clockwork and Enchantress duo, your best bet there is like your Puck Silence, which can be kind of counteracted if the Ember goes for an early Euls, which we haven't seen too often, but is still within the realm of possibility for some Ember builds. So there's some protection there for YG. Both sides kind of have a bit of a hard time catching these slippery mids.
Yeah, no, certainly so. Final pickups though, both teams requiring a POS 1. Interestingly enough, YG ban out the Jug themselves this time around and even get rid of the Razor. Razor, we did see a POS 1 Razor last night. I believe it was Army Geniuses running it. It did work out, but boy, it was a hell of a long game going past the 60-minute mark, so it was a bit of a rough time, but it's like YG don't really want to risk going against this Razor. Which kind of makes you think now what they want in that POS 1 role. Like, do you want like a Life Stealer or something here for YG? You definitely could go down that route considering the bans that did fly in from YG. Anything else that kind of catches your attention here, John?
They don't really have the big hitters left. There's a Sven, I guess. Like that would be a hero that doesn't want to deal with a Razor down the line. What else is a big physical hitter? PA could come in, but I don't think it really fits their lineup. Don't have any good buffs for PA. Yeah. It was banned in the later stage. I don't know. I think the Slark is just to protect them from the Tide lane. So if you had a Razor versus Tide, it doesn't matter what your POS 1 is. The Razor will still have a really good time in that lane. You just build up with a static link. You have nothing to shove him away, and he's really tanky. So even if you land an arrow on that Razor, it's not a very easy kill, and it just kind of piles on. Could have been something CTM could have wanted. I don't really recall seeing too much CTM Razor, though, even in the times he played POS 1
for YG, John. They're the ones who banned the Razor, so I'd imagine it must be the... Well, we'll see. They have 33 seconds left of reserve time here on YG. Still heavily thinking about this POS 1. I remember the first time we saw YG, they were running a hell of a lot of POS 1 Clinks. We haven't seen that ever since the heavy nerfs that came in for the hero, but it does feel like it can still be viable. But no, they are going to go indeed for the Lifesteal. It makes enough sense. All right, so there you go. That's, I guess a double whammy. You ban the Razor against the Tide, you ban it against the Lifesteal. It makes enough sense. Boom Esports. How do you want to respond? Like, you've got Ricky. Could be a nice option here for them if they wanted to go down that route, though. Can't say I've seen CTM playing Ricky very often. It's a bit hard to go out and say it's going to be a POS 1 Ricky coming out.
Nature's Prophet is still there if they want to run something safe for CTM.
About the Drow, John?
That all the time. They could fit the Drow in. Drow against all of these isn't too bad. Ember is there to jump the backline though. So, and Ember is also something that can dodge the silence if he plays fast enough, as long as he holds onto his Sleight of Fist. They do go with a Medusa instead, so they just go for the ultra late game scaling core in that hero. CTM is just going to try to farm up as much as possible, build up. The lane against Tidehunter is not too bad as well. So you should be able to hold your own and keep farming up. I don't think there's any risk of losing out. And for Boom now, it's all about a stall game. They have great teamfight combinations with the Gaze coming through from the Medusa, the Arena, the Dream Coil coming out there from their puck. And I think as they scale on, they're going to have the advantage for sure. Lifestealer can't really rip through a Medusa. You don't naturally go for a Diffusal in Lifestealer, so Mana Burn's not going to be at play there. Medusa does get some strength up, so you can kind of feast through her, but it's not amazing. It's just not efficient with a Mana Shield up, so I think Boom can kind of take this slow if they want to. We have seen Medusas before run fast, though. Like with an early Mask of Madness build and maybe just a Manta, you're kind of good to go. So we'll see what CTM wants, but just the way the Medusa gravitates, it's a slower pace, and I think YG will have to play a lot quicker to counteract that.
Okay, that's fair enough. We are going to head into game number 1 very soon. Of course, we talked about it, but Boom Esports should be the heavy favorites going to this game number 1. But YG, they have surprised us before, and well, it's like you mentioned, John. They need as many points as they can get to try and climb up the ladder of this group stage. So we'll head into it. Game number 1. And I suppose I don't really need to ask you this, John. It did feel like you were favoring the Boom Esports lineup.
Yeah, I think it plays into what they like. It might be a bit of a slower core for CTM, like compared to his Nature's Prophet, which does join in fights early, looks for TP opportunities, gets a push going. This is a lot slower in the Medusa. But I think Boom have 4 heroes that can just play by themselves. They don't need the Medusa to join in for the first 15 minutes. You have really good early game presence coming through. You've got great jump potential with the puck and the clockwork, and eventually once that Morris Blink is up, there's that aspect as well with the Arena and Spear. And they're on lower cooldowns on Boom as well if you think about it. Like YG, they've got this tied for really big engagements, but Ravage is a very long cooldown. So once you see Ravage committed, you're going to have a 2-minute plus window where you can just do what you want. And for Boom, all their cooldowns are basically within a minute and a half. It's not that long. They can just keep throwing the spells out, keep looking for fights, and not need to worry about getting too much out because they can just reset and go back in.
We're doing the good luck have funs coming out here from Skem and of course Skill Lay. Mid lane, bit of a rush here. They're going to get that ward down ASAP before Yopaj is able to break the smoke off. And now they'll have the vision over Yopaj placing the ward. Nice D ward to come out immediately here from YG.
Your failure lives on.
It's very important to try and dominate this lane here from YG as well. Like, we talk about this all the time with young PH, but he does tend to be the backbone of the team in some ways, so you just want to make sure that young PH doesn't get shut down in this mid lane, and that's not going to be easy against a player like Yopaj. You want to make sure he has a good time, because every time we see young PH having a rough time in that mid matchup, the side of YG, it almost feels like they don't know where to go with the game.
Yeah, he does tend to set that tempo from the mid, and same kind of extends to Yopaj. I think for the mid matchup in particular here, what we tend to see for both sides is rune control being a big aspect for both Yopaj and for young PH. So it all kind of boils down to how the side lanes go. If the supports have enough space to dip out, go for the 2-minute, 4-minute water runes, help kind of secure the bounty runes as well. And then the side that got done will have a big advantage. And I think a lot resides on the supports to make that happen here.
We saw some tips being passed around. I think everyone's kind of blaming each other for that mid ward getting de-warded already. So FBZ, maybe his idea to not smoke up and just try to rush it, but nevertheless, you can't get everything right. So we'll talk about the bot lane while we are here. Of course, you've got FBZ along with Tim, so it is going to indeed be the the Enchantress in the POS 4 role. Of course, they are going to be against Zorain on the Grimstroke, and you're going to have Howl there on that Lifestealer. And Lifestealer Grimstroke, it's a pretty solid combination to have in that safe lane. I don't necessarily think it's going to be too easy landing the Inkswell combo onto FBZ, or even Tim's for that matter. But if you can get it going, it's a substantial amount of damage.
It really is, and I think YG's already set themselves up to have a good time. They block off the large camp. Teams will have to expend a sentry to clear that out. So at the least he finds it before the minute mark, and that should give him a creep to play with. But it's going to be important for YG to keep cutting those camps off. And you can see Zhao Rain just putting his body forward, preventing the spawn from coming true. We've seen Enchantresses in this situation where if they don't get a creep, you're really not contributing it. I think that's going to be a bit of an issue. He still has a small camp though. Does pick up the Ghost with a Frost attack, so that slow is going to be pretty annoying. And the attack slow as well will make it a bit trickier for how to keep securing that CS.
Oh, it's a great creep. I think Tims couldn't have asked for a better creep here at the level 1 mark. It's just so annoying to deal with this Ghost. Still, we'll have a look into the mid lane while we have a chance. Of course, Yopaj against Young PH. We talked about how important Young PH is to the side of YG. See how he does perform. At least for now, he is 1 CS ahead of Japoy, but you can see the amount of harassment this puck is pumping out is going to start to get a little bit painful here for the Ember.
Yeah, and when Young PH does have some counterplay with Flame Guard, it's just much more mana intensive for him. He only has 1 spell use of it left. Doesn't have the chain, so you can't be too aggressive onto Yopaj. And Yopaj does have his early bottle up. So this is where the Water Runes start playing a big factor. Of course, first Water Rune, you don't tend to see the supports rotate out. Both sides should be able to just grab 1 each.
Bot lane. First blood already achieved. FBZ able to take it here on the Mars, so a great start for Boom. Didn't quite see how that happened, but it looks like both supports were fighting over the small camp, and well, eventually FBZ kind of just intercepts and gets himself a free first kill. It's a very, very good start for him. And of course, the last lane we haven't talked about is the top lane, where you've got Hyde and CTM against Lun on the Tide, and you've also got Skill Lay, but he's currently rotating around. You might see him rotate into that mid lane to try and shut down this puck a little bit. You try and land a nice arrow, but it looks like he is going to eventually just make his way back over the top anyway.
Yeah, and I like what they've done here in Boom's side. Hyde's dropped a fairly hidden sentry to block off that large camp, preventing easy access for Skill A to keep getting EXP. So he has to go further in the jungle to use his arrow and try to build up. The lane is pretty passive for Boom overall, but it's also pretty passive for YG. You don't have good arrows set up from the Tide coming through, and he does opt for the Kraken Shell and Anchor Smash instead, looking to just hold that lane steady. So no Gush Slow, no minus armor for Skill A to kind of just apply some right-click damage. That does mean it's a really stable farming lane for CTM. 21-3 in CS, over 7 CS above Lun, not being slowed down at all. And for a Medusa lane, that's really all you want. Like, you don't want to be too active anyway. You just want to get your steady farm and build up. Hyde's doing a great job of just denying resources away from Skill A. He's not getting much EXP on the clock, which will hurt that level 6 timing. But as long as Medusa farms, you don't really mind that.
Oh, absolutely not. Hyde, he'll take over a lane later on anyway. Like, you're probably going to get the safe lane once your Medusa is done with it. CTM, of course, will want to go into the jungle and just get that safe kind of farm. For now, he's happy in the laning stage, though. Every lane's kind of calmed down, apart from the mid lane, where we are seeing a bit of a fight over the water runes now. But Young PH, he's really the only one missing out at the moment. He's empty bottled. He's got nothing to go for at the moment. Hyde's been a real nuisance just rotating over to fight for that water rune at top. This is the way you just kind of beat the Ember mid lane. In fact, Yopaj is in. He might just drop, but no, he's got the final right click. Yopaj barely finding the vision. And this is exactly what you don't want to see if you're a YG fan.
Yeah, and we talked about this early on. Like, those water runes are so important for Young PH and Yopaj. The teams have to actually apply that pressure with their supports. Hyde cutting off that water rune was really big. Like, no bottle refill, no supports dying means no TP refill. And Young PH just misses out. So a nice kill coming out for Yopaj. He even gets salved up as well, so he's still healthy to stay in lane, and he's got a 2-level advantage over Young PH.
Coil, mid lane, they do break the coil immediately. The Conks pushback's going to be there. Young PH, is he really going to go down? It looks like he just maybe he'll try to survive with one more hit. They will not be able to get it. Oh, such a close call, but the bottle charge comes in clutch from Young PH. The supports were there real quick from YG.
Kind of rectified their mistakes from last time. They commit the supports mid. They know that Young PH is such a pivotal part, and that's a missed Dream Coil. You know, that's a Dream Coil that doesn't lead to a kill. A minute until it's going to be ready again. So there's some time here for young PH to just keep trying to farm up, keep trying to reach his own level 6 to be protected. With those rotations out, you do leave your side lanes open, but we're already seeing how build up over FBZ. Like, the Mars is still farming, but the Lifestealer's not being zoned out too badly as well. And when it comes down to a 1v1, Lifestealer can just run up, use the Ghoul Frenzy, use the Feast to kind of rip through Mars. So
they got an arrow. They've got Yopaj with an arrow. It's going to be a substantial amount of damage, but he does juke them out. A nice juke there from our Puck. He's going to be left without a full bottle though, but luckily he does have the bounty. No Zorain. Very, very cheeky snipe from the bounty. Does take it away from the Puck. And so now you force the rotation, but young PH, he's going to be in danger and does end up dropping. Yikes. So, I mean, you don't get the Puck kill and then you lose your Ember anyway.
Yeah, a timely rotation coming out with Tim's with a Centaur creep. Good cut off from Hyde. That's just from snagging the Invis rune now. So the activity coming out from Boom to secure the runes has been massive. Just leads to more kills, more aggression. Again, freeing up the side lanes. You're trading up a Lifestealer's farm freely versus your Medusa. The Medusa will win out when these lanes are freed up. You're seeing CTF at number 1, 52-5, dipping into the jungle. He has some massive stacks to clear out. Already has that level 3 split shot. So he can just kind of handle that and just keep building up. There's no room to rotate there.
Oh, not again. Young PH has been caught out another time. He's still not level 6, as now Yopaj is level 7. They'll make the jump in on the Mirana. Skill lay is going to be fine, but man, this is just such a tough start. And we've seen teams do this over and over again. They will just focus on young PH. They'll throw all their resources at the mid lane. And if they get away with this, YG, they're going to struggle to recover here. They're not going to have a playmaker.
Yeah, they're going to lack that early timing to build up. You need this Ember to be active. It takes a little bit longer for a Lifestealer to be up and running. You do need, like, Armlet +1 usually. I think Armlet alone's not enough to really sustain the Lifestealer's aggression. And it just doesn't flash farm as fast as Adusa. So the Ember kind of needs to pick up that slack. Young PH is about to hit level 6. Now, he is still about 2 levels behind because Yopaj is about to hit level 8. And Yopaj is just looking to get more kills.
Yeah, absolutely. So annoying for YG. Like, every team does this to them, and they've just got to kind of babysit young PH in the mid lane. At least Zorain, bit cheeky there with the TP, does cancel it, but Yopaj has a haste rune. A bit early on the voice line there, Zorain. You've got to get out first, and he's been caught out. He'll go for the pig out, but it's not going to work, I don't think. Tries with the Inkswell. Yopaj jukes out everything, and there's your orb. Oh, how unfortunate.
Oh, man. That was really cheeky from Zorain as well. Like, he saw that movement from Yopaj. He saw the hesitation, so he canceled his TP. He still gets punished. Didn't expect the haste. They do kill off Hyde up top. That is just a clockwork kill. So, and it does go the way of skill A as well. So, not the biggest kill to give out, not the biggest here to take as well, but it is giving space for a bit of a push up top. Issue is, CTM's not bothered by that. He's level 9 on the Medusa, has the Dragon Lance up with the Power Treads, pretty good intermediary stats to just sustain himself. And you're starting to see that big difference with the Lifestealer Medusa. How is still at 3.6k net worth at 9 minutes in. CTM's at 5k. And there's just nothing being done about the jungle. No forward vision drop. No real harassment to stop the Medusa from farming. And that's going to be an issue. Like, the Lifestealer, again, just doesn't flash farm in that same pace. And even if you hit this Armlet timing, you kind of need more than that to be up front here.
It's a very tough time here for YG. That's for sure.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
How probably going to feel very lost right now as to what he can do for the team. The FBZ's done a great job of just denying so many creeps away. Meanwhile, towards the southern side, Zorain looks like he's been caught out again. Silence is going to be there. There's no way out. The Puck finds his 4th kill of the game already. Right back into the mid lane for Yopaj. Just nothing going right now for YG. And I suppose on the brighter side, young PH has been bought a little bit of time to farm up, but you know, it's not enough time.
Yeah, definitely not. They do manage to kill off Hyde up top. They rotate How to a different lane to kind of secure his farm, knowing that the commitment's coming out from Boom down bot. And this should kind of give him a little bit more room to breed. No one from Boom is playing up top anymore besides Hyde. And that just allows you to build up. But Man, I didn't even realize. CTM's 11, Young PH is still 7. Like,
Yep.
Your pause one is just so freely farmed. The Ember behind everyone in farm, bottom net worth right now. Young PH has a lot of catching up to do. I think if you hit an Orb of Corrosion timing, you can apply some pressure with a max light, but it needs to come fast.
Bot lane, Lun. Moonlight Shadow might save him, but no, the coil's there, Yopaj. He goes in blind. They don't have detection, it seems like. They're just trying to hold him down, and now the sentry does fly out. Lun, he's going to try and run towards the north. He might make it with the rest of this duration, but no, I think it's game over here for Lun. He should be dead. Not quite enough time. A nice spear there from FBZ. It does take them a little bit of time to get the job done, but they'll get it. Yopaj takes his 5th kill of the game now. They can just set up freely for this bottom tier 1 tower.
You know, look for that tower trade. They've already lost their top, but the top power loss doesn't feel too bad because CTM's playing the triangle now. So he shifts over towards the mid area, clearing out the creep wave, clearing out the stacks, while the rest of his team just looks for the objective. YG are being rather conservative in their aggression. Like, they've had Ravage for a while. They haven't been able to get the rotation out from Young PH because of how far behind he has been. At least they have that Orb of Corrosion up on the Ember, so the right-click damage is piling on. I think that should be a signal to start finding something. Start having your aggression on hand, play with a Ravage, get something done to at least put a dent in Boom's progression right now.
Well, Young PH is going to keep orbing away from this puck. Yopaj, he's been a real menace already. Young PH, he does at least get himself an arcane rune now, so might be able to make some plays kind of happen with that. Looks like he is just kind of dead set on trying to catch up after such a terrible laning phase. In the meantime, Tim's going to run into Hal. They should have enough lockdown here with Zorain around with that Inkswell, and Tim's is going to drop. So another nice kill here for YG. I believe all their kills thus far have basically been on the supports, but it's better than nothing.
Yeah, it'll take what you can get, and they are just giving space out to Hal to keep trying to build up. The armlet's up. Once you have the Sanj, you kind of feel a bit more secure. You could look for Infest Place at that point. Still not very safe, but it is a bit of a power spike for the Lifestealer. So you're building up on your own win condition here on YG. Boom are still making much better use of the map though, Mike. Like, the bot jungle's completely opened up. You've got FBZ farming there. The triangle is still really protected by Boom. No forward vision. And,
Another kill. Skill lay. Just going to end up dropping on that Mirana now. It's just the puck. Like, Yopaj, he's just had such a great start. Level 10 already at 13 minutes in. Doesn't really have that many items. Like, he's got the boots and travels up, but that's going to be more than enough for him to just be mobile across the map and just continue creating chaos with that Dream Coil. Hal's going to spot him out, but Hal can't do anything to stop him. Yopaj can always just TP away from this Lifestealer. So YG still just biding their time. 3k net worth behind here on this Radiant team. But you're not out of the game by any stretch. Just need more time to farm. In fact, they're going to find Tims on this Enchantress now. He does get the heal out, and Hyde is there with a hook shot. Onto skill late, but the leap away is going to be there. Young PH looking to back off. We'll be able to do so because you don't have the Dream Coil up to really lock him down. In the meantime, CTM is very far forward. Ravage is going to come out, but where's the follower? The Stone Gaze is out from our Medusa, so you can't really do much about the side of Boom with that Ravage. As now the arrow comes in, they might get Hyde, but the spear is there. Onto Young PH, it's not going to be a good trade. A 1-for-1 thus far, but you've lost your Ember for a support Clockwork, and now you're going to lose Zorain to boot. Definitely a pretty big win here for Boom as they'll go for even more now. Lun is going to try and swim his way out of this. He should be able to get out considering how tanky he is. But again, just another favorable team fight for Boom Esports.
And they make it work. On the side of YG, their response is just a bit scattered. It was a good infest save onto the Tide, but they sacrificed their Ember once more. Their follow-up damage is just not up there yet. And they might be able to punch Tims at least.
Look at Tims, but Tims hasn't actually gone for any points to be untouchable, so he's kind of asking for it. FBZ, looks like he's going to be just fine. The Yule Scepter is there to hold back the Tide. It's one of those things, like you look at the kill board and you think it's still a very even game, but every single fight that goes on, Boom's finding cores to kill. YG, they're only finding supports every single time.
Yeah, and it's also the use of space here, Mike. Like CTM, again, he has such great camp clearing ability with Adusa. He's at 9.7k, 2k ahead of How. Even FBZ on the Mars is ahead of How. Even your Puck is right in the tails of that pause one who's been getting space, so the farm is just coming through from Boom. It's not quite flowing for YG yet, and there's a big disparity in vision. The bot jungle is completely controlled by Boom.
Zorain being caught out again here by Hyde. FBZ will take that very happily. In the meantime, Yopaj, they might be able to jump this Puck, but well, he's a very slippery man here, Yopaj. He's going to be able to take the power rune as well, so just finding everything he could ask for on this Puck. YG, you're still just kind of biding your time at the moment. You haven't really got too many options available. They pop a Moonlight Shadow, but what's it really going to get done? There's bot tier 2 towers just being forced in by CTM. You are going to at least lose the siege creep here from Boom Esports, but it seems like CTM is more than happy to just keep right-clicking away. And Yopaj, he knows young PH is around somewhere, but he's not going to be able to get him with the Waning Rift.
They will still get that push into tier 2. YG could set up for mid, but there are TPs to defend, and they're immediately TPing out as soon as they know the tier 2 is going.
As you coil out, Arena to be dropped. Spear is eventually there. Arrow, though, does land onto FBZ. 4-star, not going to be enough, but they have enough damage. Hyde, he's going to hook shot in onto Zorain. And it wouldn't be a team fight without Zorain tying on the Grimstroke. He'll go down with his core Ember. And they might even go for more now. Skill Lay is going to try and outrun Yopaj. Will use his leap charges and has one left. Eventually, I think Yopaj just might give up on this, leave it be. They'll be more than happy once again with the way these team fights are panning out.
Yeah, and Boom again. They've just managed to get everything they want. They take the tier 2 bot, they immediately TP for the mid defense from a bit of push that's coming through. How? Trying to play poke, but doesn't really have the damage to even kill solo anymore, so just gonna have to play it safe. Look at the vision disparity. Like, there's only one ward from YG watching the Roche entrance. All the wards coming through from Boom to watch this diagonal cutting through into the jungle, just ensuring that they have bot control on them. Like, and YG just don't have the info to go for plays. They have a smoke up. They could try to jump. The only hero they see is FBZ under that ward.
Yeah, that's not quite the target you can just burst down. Though they might try and go for this, assuming FBZ is alone. Again, he is a bit of a tankier target, but they'll give it a shot. They'll jump in with the Ink Swell, but the Yule Scepter going to buy a bit more time. Arrow off the mark. He's going to try for the TP. But with 4 heroes around him, they have enough damage. In the meantime, though, young PH, he's just being chased down by Tims. Lun, he's going to try and be around to punish this. But it looks like Tims is going to get to the high ground, and CTM is there to help out. Mystic Snake thrown out. Tims, he's going to try and heal through all the damage. Arrow barely not connecting. And now the turnaround. Hyde back in on Zorain. They've got the Grimstroke. They've got that Mirana. And it looks like YG, they can't do anything about their supports dying. They're just going to try and back their way out. There might be more coming. Lun is still being chased here by Hyde and Yopaj. So once you get in range for that battery assault, Lun is as good as dead. He's gone. No chance of survival here for YG.
Yeah, just things not going right. Like, they find the Mars, they need more info on the map. They weren't aware of the ward that was coming through from Boom on that jungle spot in that ramp area. So they get punished for going up onto the high ground from the low ground, and Boom still finds everything. They're gonna have to deal with something big here, Mike. The Ags coming out for CTM. So Dragonlance, Manta, Power Threads, Ags, right around the 20-minute mark. Just insane free farm. That stone form with the Mystic Snake is gonna be obnoxious. Like, how can dodge out with a Rage? But Rage cooldown's fairly long until you get your talent with Rage duration where it feels a lot better. They're going to be really punished by the output of that Dusa. Just not able to get a rotation out, not able to get the vision and information they needed to stop that flash farm. It's not something they can really flash farm back as well. Like, right with a Lifestealer, it just doesn't have that same pace. It doesn't have the same power spikes. Maybe by the time you hit level 25 with the Scotty plus maybe a Heart or Abyssal up, you can feel a lot better, but that's still a long ways off here, and it just feels like Boom will keep escalating at a faster pace on this Medusa. They even have the Dagon up on Yopaj. He's just looking to hit and run on that puck, and
Dire are scanning.
outside of the side, I think he can basically rip almost everyone up.
Taj going to be able to back off.
Your failure
Boom
lives on.
Esports grouping up. Looks like they want to go for a smoker. A double smoke, in fact. Boom Esports feeling very generous to throw some money away. But nothing wrong with that. Boom. They'll make their way into that triangle. And look at that. They found Zorain. And on the brighter side for YG, it is just your +5 Brimstroke. So not the worst case scenario. Probably the best case scenario, in fact. But Boom now, they might feel comfortable enough to just get started the Roshan. I mean, you've got the Ags up on CTM, you've got the Stone Gaze. There's just not much to be afraid about. In fact, Yopaj, he's going to find another target. He's got the Mirana. Moonlight Shadow's going to be there, but it's just not going to be enough.
Presumably a pity.
So they cut off the only source of information gathering YG has with the arrow to intercept the Roche. They do have Ravage here. Lun does have a blink, but I don't know if they're going to make it in time. The Roche isn't melting as fast though. So if they find the angle, you could still give it a shot, but they just back off. They don't even want to try risking it. I think you need to be able to take risks like that when you're this far behind, this early on. Like say you get a big Ravage from the Infest, you can maybe snag away the Aegis. The follow-up fight could be messy, but you still get a little bit more denying the second life on CTM, because what are you going to do about this Dusa with Aegis, Mike? Like, you don't have the damage to rip through its first life. The mana shield's up, level 20 coming up soon, just an insane amount of HP, and no one's set up to do it. Like, you don't have damage on your Ember, you have a BKB and Orb of Corrosion, Maelstrom still coming out. Your Life Sealer, Scotty is ready, but the Courier is dead for 2 minutes, so that's actually going to stall out the Scotty for at least 2 minutes unless he walks to the shop himself. And even then, it's still not enough for a Life Stealer. He's level 16. He needs his talent spikes. He needs that level 20 evasion or slow to have durability. He needs his level 25 for the rage duration or life steal. It's just very slow going as Boom have complete control of the map.
Yeah, Yopaj, he's jumping in after December now. He's going to blink away. Young PH not going to be able to get a range for the Sleight of Fist. They'll try to take over that die triangle, but that's about all they can do. And I do agree with the sentiment, by the way, John. I think YG definitely needed to try and contest that last Roshan. Yeah, maybe they can't really contest it, but I mean, you may as well try, because the way this game's going, you're not really going to have much of a chance very soon here up against Boom Esports with the way they're playing it. Oh, they might go high ground right now, and I wouldn't blame them for it. You could just do it so confidently with CTM on the front line. Gotta watch out for the spear back from FBZ to boot. YG, they're gonna have to try and defend this. How? He'll make his move in. Spear gonna be there. Boom. They just want the T3 tower at the moment. They won't even try for the Lifestealer. It's very surgical gameplay from Boom Esports. They're very experienced players. They understand how far they can push their heroes.
Yeah, they've got a big advantage pushing up here. There is still the Ravage with a blink on Lun, so there is a play they can make, but I don't think you want to jump Dusa. You need to jump the backline first.
Well, they've got the chains out. Arrow's not going to be connected, so Tim's going to be just fine to heal up and reset. CTM now going to move in a little bit. Again, just chipping away. Got the tier 3 tower. And he's going to start on the racks, and you're just going to have to start the fight here as YG. Otherwise, Boom, they'll just keep going. Lun, he's being annoying with the Anchor Smash, removing a substantial amount of damage here from CTM. But that's about all they can do at the moment. They are not committing. There's your Scardia. Smoke up again. How? He's going to make his way in, but Stone Gaze immediately. Lun gets stoned up. How? He's going to keep trying onto that Medusa, trying to get through that mana pool. But don't forget, you've got the Aegis up. CTM now is out of mana. Arrow, it doesn't land again. How? He's going to keep trying on the Tims, but where's the damage output? Young PH now, he'll jump in. They'll try with a big Ravage out of the 3. They at least found Tims on that Enchantress. CTM, he's going to still stand there against the side of YG. The Aegis is down now, however, but there's a big Dream Core Yopaj. He's got 3 targets. You've still got the Life Stealer trying to go after the Medusa. Lun jumps back in. CTM, he was bashed for a while, but here comes the Stone Gaze. They'll pop it back in after the supports. The Spear's out. FBZ, he catches Skill Lay. They've got Zorain down. They could commit the buybacks though. And it seems as though YG, while they lose that tier 3 tower, they are still going to be able to hold that top racks.
It's a bit of a costly trade, but it does pay off in the end. And just that having that Scotty is enough to give some forward presence for Hao. So you can actually start ripping through, focusing down on CTM. I think the side of Boom maybe need a little more force staffs. Like they did have one on Tim's. I believe Hyde has one as well. They just need to save that for CTM. Get him out of Arrow's range and you can kind of clean up.
Well, they onto the Lifestealer. Not quite enough damage right now for Hao. He's going to be able to just safely, farm the creep wave, just back himself out. No issues there. He's going to have the Heaven's Halberd up very, very soon as well. So that might make things very difficult for CTM. In the meantime, Ember going to get caught. So Young PH locked down for a while. But he's going to be able to BKB and try to fight back here. Arrow was onto FBZ. Looks like he got the BKB off in time. Boom Esports. There's still 14k net worth ahead.
Radiant's middle tower.
I'd say YG, they still have a pretty decent chance of being able to continue defending high ground. Especially with that Heaven's Halberd up on Hal. But Boom, they're not going to overextend anyway. They might just wait out the next Roshan attempt.
Oh, Hao though?
Nah, he's alright. He's got rage.
Acting as a bit of bait. I do worry about the Lifestealer's damage though. Like, it looked good last game, but CTM's going for a butterfly.
Most welcome.
The evasion's going to be there. Your magical damage isn't that big. Even if you land the arrow, even if you have Flame Guard running through for the entire duration with steering chains and all remnants committed, it's not going to be enough to melt CTM. And I think that butterfly play pickup by CTM is going to be massive in terms of just keeping up front. He does have it up. So his damage is escalating through the roof. He has a casual Crystallis as well. Going to go into the Daedalus down the line, perhaps. Maybe a Silver Edge could actually be helpful against Lifestealer if he's worried about the matchup. And you don't have a way of handling the Dusa once more. Like last time it was because Hao could get hits. He's going to be missing 30% of them now. 35%. And that's a lot of DPS just taken out. It's more durability for CTM. And it just means that he can keep standing forward and do what he wants.
Lives on.
CTM easily takes the tier 2 mid tower.
Radiant's middle tower has fallen.
Hal, he'll just continue working towards an MKB to have that counter to the butterfly.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Yeah, a long time before he does have it up, but you may as well get started as now FBZ. Not going to be there quite in time to see the Lifestealer, but it won't matter. They'll just take over that triangle and get prepared for the next Roshan. YG, it's their move to make. But they might just make their way over to the other side of the jungle and maybe try to farm that up. But you've got your Pash who's been clearing out the creep stacks and just being annoying overall. Smoke though? Yeah?
I think they need to build up into Young PH a bit more. He does have the Maelstrom up, so damage is going up there. He's still behind even FBZ in the farm. They're trying to get what they can. Oh, Smoke broke though.
No, FBZ can be forced to BKB Arena up and just try to run his way out, but the chase is on. He's going to try for the TP now. He might make it in time, but no, the arrow. It barely makes it and does get the killer now. Stonegaze is out. A lot of damage coming in from CTM, but this might be the best team fight YG's had all night. Can they get it done? CTM, he's dropping a little bit low on mana. He'll just try to force stuff away, but there's your Ravage Lun. He'll hold him down. Arrows there as well. CTM still so low. Should go down and does. YG, how much more can they capitalize on? They do catch out your Page with the chains. Phase shift is there. Can he blink in time? The answer is yes, he can. Still a very nice team fight for YG, finding that big Medusa. You're starting to really see signs of life here from YG.
If they can keep catching up CTM like that, just use the arrow stun. That's how you can get it done. Yopaj still manages to hit and run. Level 5 Dagon just absolutely melts the Mirana at this point. And Yopaj is still holding on to that Fairy's Trinket. You know, the spell damage up, the mana cost reduction, just so good on the puck. So he's not switching out for a higher tier item. Can't fault him. Boom. They need to kind of protect the Dusa more. Like, CTM went all in on damage. He does not have too much protection on hand outside of Manta. Didn't manage to get off to try and dodge the Ravage. And once the chain stuns fly in, the Lifestealer in a very prolonged fight, mind you, that was a very long time where Hao just got hits off. He can clean up. So I think Boom will just have to be conscious and cognizant of where CTM is and be ready to just apply those 2 force stabs on him to reposition him.
I think he's going to stare down Lun at the moment, but Danny goes, maybe they will go after the Tide. Lun, not going to realize yet. Might all be too late as the spear does end up landing, and now Yopaj is here, and man, with that level 5 Dagon, it's just so much damage. How? He's going to be fine to back off, though, and I suppose that's one bit of good news here for YG. Mid lane, however, they are going to split out young PH. He's going to be fine to just remnant away, as we do have a very nice impetus shot just flying over. Who did they give the enchanted quiver to, by the way? I swear I saw one for Boom Esports. Or was that YG and I was seeing things again?
It looks like it was YG. They've got it in the neutral right now. They don't really have anyone that can use it, unfortunately. So it would have been nice for Boom. Still, Boom in a good position to control Roshan. It's going to be up now. They've got the wards around the triangle area. They don't actually scout out, but they do have a clock and all.
Yeah. Hook shot in from Hyde from a mile away, and they just delete skill lay again. You just saw that combo just taking over pretty much 7/8 of his HP. It was just a ridiculous amount of damage. How though? MKB up now. Tim's gonna experience it firsthand. Spear not gonna land. Rage was there in time, so Tim's he'll force staff. Just spider legs away. With the MKB up now, like we saw CTM go down earlier. If they could just control this Medusa long enough, you're certainly not gonna experience any damage issues here for YG. Not this time around.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot easier to manage CTM. He does have the Silver Edge up, so he does have a way of bailing out of fights if he wants to. Pump that Silver Edge, try to reposition. Not sure if YG is ready with detection. They do have a Dust sitting on Skillay at least, so they've got one person with detection on hand. They do have their own gem up on How, so they should be able to get in position. They will go for a smoke play, not scouted out quite yet by Boom. But Boom's in a good position on high ground.
And BZ though immediately finds skill layout, but there's your Ravage now onto 2 heroes. They're gonna blow them up, but here comes the cavalry. Boom, they will still want to try and force the fight. Stone Gaze is there. How? He'll keep rushing forward. He has not been petrified up. The buybacks, they were committed immediately by Boom. In fact, Lun, he is gonna get caught in the end. In the meantime, Yopaj, he's whiffed a Dream Coil. So no coil to land. Still 2 down from both sides, but well, Boom, they committed the buyback, so they might want to go high ground once again and try to force some buybacks out of YG. That's exactly what they're going to try and do. Lun's going to commit it. Problem is he doesn't have Ravage, but they need someone to frontline for YG and just maybe spam that Anchor Smash. And in the end, Boom, they've still got a Roshan to go back for anyway. So no real reason for them to try and rush the high ground again if they don't need to.
Yeah, they know there's no Ravage to worry about. That entire combo is down for a minute and a half. The side of YG understands that they can't quite sit back though. They will smoke up. Scan might spot them out if they walk through the mid, and they are spotted out. So smoke is red. Yopaj?
Oh, Yopaj, he tried to get aggressive on his own. Aeon Disc may save him, but he's been silenced up for a pretty long time. Phase shift is there. And he won't get the blink off. Very nice pick up there for YG. But in the meantime, Roshan, it's still dropping. They've got a Remnant in. They're not going to make the play. CTM, he needs to run now. They might just deny this Aegis Sway immediately, but he has the Silver Edge, and that's going to be enough to break the gap. But how? He spots out the Medusa. Hook shot though, Hyde, going to make sure he can't go any further. CTM will even turn around for a few right clicks off onto the Lifestealer. Boom. They lose Yopaj, but they got what they came for, and that'll be enough for them. In fact, what the hell is this Kobold doing, John? That mid lane Kobold. They're leaving it, John. No, CTM, no.
No peace for the Kobolds, Mike.
No.
Who was going around with a cheeky shovel? Now that's the sad thing. You dig up, you got a Kobold,
No,
and no one even wants it. They don't even get the 7 gold. Like 7 gold.
To be fair for Zorain, John, with the way his game's gone, he may not have the damage to take that creep out. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, it's a toughie. YG, they have shown us that their high ground defense is there. They've got fight potential. They are hitting some good spikes here, Mike. Ags up on Young PH. More presence with the Remnants coming through. You did mention last time around that the nerf to the Ags makes it a bit tough to just commit all, even with a refresh, and that could be an issue, but I don't think he's the main focus now. It's all about letting Hao stand forward, get the hits off, get the control off on the Dusa, and just do work. That might be a bit tougher to pull off now, though. I believe CTM is going to have his BKB ready. It's all assembled up. So if the Aegis goes, he's going to have spell immunity on the second life. It's going to be easier for him to just focus in, get the damage off. The back and forth with the Lifestealer at this point is a bit awkward, but on paper, CTM should still have a bit of a better time with his raw damage output. Like, he's got the crit on the Silver Edge, he's got the stats, he will go for that slow siege now.
They go tier 3 tower. You have ways of slowing this down with that halberd, and you see how just throwing it out right now. Arrow, not gonna land, they got the root off though. CTM popping a fair bit of damage. Still has the Aegis. It's gonna be okay to back off after a quick reset there with Tim's. Gonna be very wary of Lun as well. He's been very good with these Ravages as of late. Forward here, but playing games with CTM. Tau now going to try and go in for the fight. Lun is there as well, but no Ravage being committed. In fact, now they'll turn, but the arrow does land. Who's in the backside? I believe it was Yopaj. Does come in with the Dagon and procs an Aeon Disc on skill A. They'll try again. CTM still low on mana, but doesn't really mind too much about it. They'll keep trying. Lun's there now as well. Meanwhile, on the backside, Yopaj, he's on to the Grimstroke. Instead, he'll go after skill A, but who are we really aiming? Nobody yet, but there's your Ravage. Lun, he's got 2 targets. They want that Medusa down. Arena is there from FBZ. No spear out yet, but no, eventually he does get it. Onto Hal. The Lifestealer in trouble. They'll lock him down with the hook shot. He'll try to rage. He'll invest onto Lun. Lun needs to find an exit strategy, but it doesn't look like there is one. He'll try just to run. They at least found the Aegis, and Lun will be able to get himself out, along with Hal. Boom. So without an Aegis, they're not going to keep going, but they do at least find one lane of barracks.
It takes a lot of effort, but you do at least get one lane that'll naturally shove in. I think for Boom right now, the issue is teamfight. Like, the Ravage is really big, it gives them so much control. The follow-up arrows have been on point from skill A. It feels like they need an Ags up on Yopaj. Like, as long as you can pierce through that rage, keep that Lifestealer from hitting your Dusa, you can kind of win out. And you just kind of need that item up on Yopaj soon.
Oh, they've got a nice arrow. CTM, he got caught out. It's a big, big stun duration. But he's got the BKB in time, and now the Stone Gate is going to be popped. Yopaj in the backside again, looking for supports. He won't find one yet. Instead, they'll try to make the jump in onto Tim's. But he's just kind of outrunning Hal at the moment. Tide, nice Cogs pushback as well. We'll just rocket flare away. Young PH again with the Inkswell out. Gonna connect on CTM, but again, nobody really able to close the gap. In fact, now a Dream Call out CTM. He might be able to clean up. Hal is trying to come in and close the gap and get some damage out. He's doing a good amount, but is it gonna be enough? Hal, again, trapped up in the Cogs' hide. He'll fly away, but CTM, he copped an arrow. The damage still flying out from Hal. 4 stuffs fall the Medusa in trouble. CTM's gonna drop. How he might really clean up here on this Lifestealer. As Tim's, he's the only target left. And they'll get him. Nice pickups here for YG.
And again, just showing us that they can get work done. Skill A has been so on point with the arrows onto CTM. The Medusa just constantly getting controlled up. They don't have a good save for CTM. He just ends up dying. They have all these 4 staffs. They aren't really able to stagger the use to protect their Dusa. And once the BKB fades, they know they have a massive opening on YG where Hao can just lay in the damage. The lack of control is becoming an issue. Yopaj trying to do his best to zone out Hao. That should make him cautious going for a tier 2 push. But they need something more. Like, the E-Blade's nice on Yopaj. When Rage fades, you can kind of go and try to disarm the Lifestealer or protect your Dusa as well with the Ethereal form. But I think that Ags that we were talking about on the puck, that BKB piercing spell has to come true. Once you can get control, better control in teamfights, take out that spell immunity, it becomes a lot easier for CTM to work his way out, wait out the spell immunity, walk back in, and do some damage himself.
Well, still a very close matchup here. 19k net worth lead is still there for Boom, but YG not out of it yet. MKB being built up on CTM to boot, so more damage to come from the Medusa. Get through that evasion of the Lifestealer, but he's actually quite close to it anyway. Not going to take CTM too long to be able to finish that off. And of course, that next Roshan going to be ever so important. Find out in about a minute 10 when it's going to spawn up. Meanwhile, Boom, I mean, they're just going to be patient, just wait this out. They're in no rush. Obviously, they understand that YG is still very able to fight back and put up a great fight.
Radiant are scanning.
Just don't want to be put in a position where you throw this game as Boom. Meanwhile, a scan was committed by the Radiant. They did catch FBZ with that scan. So maybe just trying to gauge the position of Boom as this Roshan is slowly going to come up now. Maybe even assuming it might be a smoke from Boom, but there's no smoke coming out quite yet.
And both sides are just going to hang around near the Rosh. You know that next Roshan's pivotal in swinging this game either side. It is still a bit longer till it's up, 18 seconds until we see the respawn. But it does feel like YG has a really good angle there. Again, they have Ravage. They have a way of just catching Boom off guard. If Boom's not quick enough with a couple of their BKB uses, they can really just melt it out of control. And they've got really good infest targets. Like, how could either jump into the Ember or the Tide, play from there. Very fast Rosh respawn here, Mike. 15 seconds away. DD on the bot rune spot as well. So CTM, he's going to have double damage for that next Rosh. And they're going to smoke up here on Boom's side.
Yeah, that they are. Boom Esports. They check the
right on
Roshan.
time.
Very, very quick timer there on the Roshan. Rocket Flare, how? He's going to be scouted, but he's not an easy target to take down. Still CTM. He's got a double damage rune. He's got a hell of a lot of damage right now, in fact. Critting for about 1k each hit. Roshan's gone just immediately. Yopaj, he'll take the Aghanim Scepter for himself. Free up an item slot there, and now the next team fight just gets even more challenging for YG. Might try soon. How? Does spawn out Tim's. Ravage is there. Lun, he's got 2 targets. They burst down Tim's. CTM, he's already low on mana. He might drop it. Hide. He's in with the hook shot. Still CTM has been left alone, and he's going to drop at least once. FBZ not really sure what he can do here. Young PH still going after Hyde. How now? What's the focus on the Mars? Tims, he's brought back. He's going to rejoin this team fight. They do take down Skill Lane. There goes FBZ. Remnants brought from Young PH as hell. He'll go back in after Tims. He'd love a tie back here on this Enchantress. CTM in the meantime, he'll go into the Tide Hunter. He does get one, but the arrow does land from a mile away, and how? He'll get right to work. The Medusa again in such a weakened position. And they'll take him down. Skill Lay, just every single time landing a massive arrow for the team. And How is just able to freely take CTM's life. And these arrows, they are really just keeping YG in this game.
They really are. I think for that entire fight, there's a massive issue for Boom. They were forced to fight in 2 areas. Yopaj jumped the back line on the high ground, but the main DPS, the main damage dealers were on the low ground dealing with CTM. Without that Ags upgraded Dreamcoil to help out the Medusa, they did not have the control to back up CTM. The Medusa isolated, it just feels extremely weak. It can't actually fight against the Lifestealer with all the durability and regeneration How has. There's no Lifesteal on CTM, so in a prolonged fight, he just does not win out. He can't out-damage the healing of How. And it just opens up a lot more for YG. So Boom in a very awkward spot. No buybacks, respawns in 40 seconds. They might just have to surrender 1 lane of racks. Yopaj trying to do what he can to cut off the creep wave, but the racks are gone. And that evens out the game for YG. We're at 45 minutes in. 18k lead, although.
Yeah, jump in. Yopaj. Almost blew up Hal there. It's a lot of damage. Just barely not enough. Like you said, John, they even out the game. At least 1 mid lane of barracks being taken here by YG. certainly feels like they're looking to be the stronger team now, even with that net worth disparity. It just doesn't feel like they're the ones behind anymore. Mind you, Hal, again, has been able to leverage these massive arrows from skill A every single time onto CTM. So I wonder what would happen if he didn't have that big arrow set up to be there onto CTM. I suppose Hal might still have the advantage anyway, but it certainly makes it a lot easier when your Medusa's just been stunned up for 5 seconds.
Yeah, just gives a massive window for how to just keep playing in. The one thing with the Lifestealer is that when you go back to it, as a hero, it wins out in very prolonged fights. Right, like it just lasts so long, it has a great amount of strength, good amount of armor coming in with the itemization here. And with a Scotty up, with the Feast, with a Cool Frenzy, you kind of remove a lot of tools from the opposing core. You can't lifesteal as well with a Scotty up, you can't run away because of all the slows coming through. CTM already had to ditch his boots, so that aspect of it's amplified further by the fact his move speed's not that high, relying mainly on the flicker. And he will have to rely, again, on those double force stabs on the supports to save him. I think for Boom's part, what they have to do now is they can't initiate by themselves. The best thing to do, which seems to be what YG is kind of abusing, if they can just play like this, like get CTM jump first, save the Dream Coil for when everyone jumps onto that Dusa, and counterplay from there. Because when you split the fight up as we saw, and the high ground and low ground of that triangle area on the Radiant side, the focus is just way too split. Like, the control is there, but only on the supports in the back line. You're not stopping the Lifestealer. You're not stopping the Ember Spirit and Tide from just constantly hammering onto the Dusa. And it just makes it difficult for CTM to do what he wants to do. So I think for Boom, just kind of play behind the Dusa. Let the Dusa get jumped. Just accept that. And then kind of defend her with your own spells and run from there.
I mean, as time goes on, it does just feel like YG is just going to get stronger and stronger. How now working towards that Abyssal Blade and just even more control here against CTM. You gotta watch out for your Page though. I mean, you saw that Ethereal Dagon. It's a substantial amount of damage. Hex coming out very soon as well for your Page, so more control on his end of things. Definitely feels like they need it right now for Hao to try and stop him from getting that rage off. I wonder, do both teams wait for the next Roshan again? It feels like we are heading to that stage where you don't want to go high ground unless you have that Aegis back up.
Yeah, I think it's the safe play. Like, you don't want to risk it on YG's side, because if they take a team fight outside, their base is a lot more open than Boom. For Boom, you know, there's an access point through mid which you can rush tier 4s, but they do have buybacks in hand at this point. They should be ready for that inevitability. Whereas for YG, having buybacks forced, there's still a lot of angles for Boom to kind of come in. You know, they can go for the Megas play instead and take it slow. Boom, the rest of their tier 3s are protected by the outer towers for now. YG will try for a smoke play though. Boom kind of scattered around for this. They are still on the high ground. YG might find a good angle flanking around here.
That they may. Lun, that big Ravage to initiate here. Esports just holding that high ground of that Radiant Triangle.
Under attack.
Of course, YG must be very well aware of exactly where Boom are. They'll go to the opposite end, get some wards down, and maybe take over that side. So right now, they're really more about the farm than anything. They just need more net worth on their heroes to really put a stop to what Boom Esports has been doing in this game, number 1.
Radiant's top barracks are under attack.
So they will end up backing off though. Just a bit of vision being placed first. Still a minute till we find out when the next Roshan is going to spawn up. A bit of time here. In the meantime though, like you look at this Lifestealer, he's holding 7.8k. Just about to the point where you can afford the Abyssal Blade and have buyback very, very soon. It's going to remain invested into Lung. CTM. Oh, they see him. Break is there. Hookshot was blocked off though. Oh, Hyde getting blocked there by his puck. And now Lun, he's thinking about going back in, but definitely would advise against it here for our Tide, as Yopaj, he's not done yet. He'll keep chasing him down. Lun slowly being chipped away at. Rocket Flare going to give more vision on Lun. Another waning rift. They are slowly getting through this HP pool. He's going to be alright, as now the rest of the team are making their way over. Coil is going to be whiffed as well. They catch nobody. Onto Yopaj, they got the Hex off with the Aeon Disc. He's going to hard dispel, and he'll back off. Still, Young PH is going to chase him down as now Hyde has hook shot in. How? Who does he want to start on? He'll go after Tims. There is a spear around him in the meantime. Onto skill lane, they do find the Mirana. There's your Ravage though, CTM, he has been called out. How? He's on a mission to make sure this Medusa does go down. He's taking a fair bit of damage though, CTM, hitting like a truck, but the spear pushes him away. That is not what you wanted to see. And so How
You die.
gets blessed by FBZ and is going to survive another night.
But I'm worth so
It would have been massive if they found How there. That would have opened up a little bit more push into high ground, maybe forced the buyback on that Lifestealer. You are seeing the counterplay coming through from Boom though. Again, as long as they kind of hold off on their spell use and just, they at least catches our in, but you know, it's not the biggest kill. He does have buyback. As long as they manage to protect CTM somehow and, again, get the control where it needs to be, it feels a lot better. CTM's damage is getting up there now. I think it would have been a lot better for Yopaj, again, if he had the Dream Coil to land on Lifestealer and Ember. He did have to pop it immediately on Mirana, as he was being jumped and he was kind of in a rough spot with the Aeon Disc proccing. But, again, if we see that Dream Coil come true on the cores, I think that fight changes dramatically. Like, Lifestealer's going to be stunned for a little bit. He's not going to be free to chase down the Deuce as he has been in the past few fights, and that just opens up more possibilities for CTM. No Roche yet, which means Boom is just going to rush for what they can find, which is that melee racks up top.
Barracks are under attack.
Boom Esports, they'll make their way over. Top lane of Barracks is gone.
Radiant's top
Into the mid they
barracks
go.
has fallen.
Lun gonna try and slow this down. How? He'll get to work again. Onto CTM they go. The Medusa can be forced off the way. The Coil, meanwhile, does break onto the Lifestealer, but he'll be just fine. In the meantime, though, Lun does end up going down to the Tide Hunter. He does have buyback.
Is under attack.
Boom Esports still really struggling to get onto that high ground and just finish off this game.
Shadows take us.
YG just not having it. In fact, they'll go through the mid lane. Who have they found? It's going to be Hyde. They can pick up this clockwork. It's not too bad of a way to start, but the hook shot is going to be there from Hyde. In the meantime, Yopaj, he's jumped in, but the side device is there. Aeon Disc might just save him in time. Roots are out as well, but the phase shift going to buy a bit more time for him to get out. How? He'll make the jump in onto CTM, but the Stone Gaze is going to be committed to make sure he cannot fight any further, but now Young PH is going to re-jump back in. Arena's down, Ravage is out, Lun, he fought back, Arrow going to fly in onto FBC, CTM, he's going to keep trying to fight this one out. Can he do it though? How? He's closed the gap, but no, the cogs. It's going to buy a bit of space for CTM to get back to work. How? He's still trying. He does take down Hyde, but it looks like he is going to drop. He'll buy back as well. You've lost Tims. Young PH still bouncing around the team fight. Might just make it out. In fact, he'll come back in after FBZ. Now back onto CTM they'll go. The skill lay. He'll get bursted down by Yopaj. Buybacks left, right, and center. It was a 3-for-3 trade. 2 buybacks committed on the side of YG, 3 for the side of Boom Esports. And Roshan is officially up.
Yeah, and that's going to be where a lot of focus is going to be on. There's no Ravage for a minute and a half, so YG's in a bit of a disadvantage going to the Roche, but they will smoke up. They know they have to fight for Roche. There is a creep to watch. They can't quite commit in Roshan. They're going to have to back off. Boom. They're in a good spot to try to enforce it themselves. They get the smoke. Dream Coil can be up in about 15 seconds. There is that Ags up on Zalrain though. So the Soul Bind with the Dark Portrait up against Adusa can get a high value hero there. Now does scout out that there is a smoke, but I think Boom have to go for it. They can't afford to dally around anymore. They know there's no Ravage, no Tide, and that's going to be a big Roshan. Aegis, Cheese, Refresh, and Ags Blessing. Double Dream Coil could change the course of this game. I think you're going to have to try and force something with your YG.
Too late. As the only thing left is the cheese, and nobody really cares about that. Not in 2021. Yopaj makes the jump in onto Young PH. Not going to be able to secure the kill. In we go again, surely. It's time for high ground.
Yeah. Respawn's back on Tide. Ravage and Turty. They have a window here for Boom to kind of force it out, but it's not a very wide window. Once Ravage is back up, there is play opportunities for YG. However, with a refresh up on Yopaj, again, double Dream Coil, you've got the Overclock ready to go on Hyde. So double Hookshot, double Cogs, that could be enough to fight against the control that YG has and give themselves on Boom's side some angles to isolate heroes and just get CTM to stand far back enough to do his damage. I think the tools are there for either side now to take the next engagement. It's going to be easier for Boom, of course, with Cheese and Aegis. So it's easier to pull off. They can afford to make a couple more mistakes compared to YG, where their execution is going to have to be near perfect. They will get a bit of a spike afterwards. Like Lun, he was initially queuing up the overwhelming blink. He is going back for the refresh now, Mike. Double Ravage will be big. Issue is Lun is still far away from it. And I don't think he's going to have enough time to farm that one up.
Doesn't seem like it.
Yet your fate.
And all the farm is basically going the way of Hao and Young PH. Very, very hard for Lund to find any creeps to hit. In the meantime, Boom Esports. You've got 6k sitting there on TTM. That gold may be reserved for a Divine Rapier if this game just continues the way it is. You are reaching that point now where you just got to go for it if this game just continues. It's Hao. They spot him out. They need the right initiation, though. You've got the sight device up on your Page, but Hao's got the backup. Jump in your Page. Just a bit of a cheeky dig onto Young PH. TTM still waiting in the shadows. Just holding onto that silver edge, trying to find the right moment, but no, he'll just go after the towers now. Just get something done. Hit some buildings, but Hao, he's going to break the gap again. Arrow is going to land right on target from Skill Lay, and they've got the first life. We've seen this one before. Can they do it a second time? Yopaj, he's going to jump in, but the Hex is out. They've got CTM with it. The Ravage is there, but the BKB is going to make it out of time. CTM this time, he'll be able to turn around and fight. Arena is down. They want to try. They've got Lun out. Can they find Young PH? He's trying to juke his way out of this. In fact, instead, they'll go after the lifesteal, and they've got the dieback there. They'll take down Young PH. He can commit the buyback, and he might have to. Just trying to burst down Tips at the very least, but he finds nothing. He finds absolutely nothing. As he even gets caught out, I think. Oh, he messed around with the juggle. He's been left in the backside. CTM, he's just going to clean up the supports now. Skill Lay and Zorain are gone. Young PH dies in the back. GG called at 58 minutes in. And what a game one it was between Boom Esports and YG.
Oh man. YG, they managed to hold on for such a long time. It looked like Boom basically had it. And then a couple of times they would just get caught out. Like CTM would be way far forward. They'd split the fights into two areas, but everyone would just lay on to the Dusa. And once the Dusa was taken care of, YG would have the angle to come back in. The itemization coming out from our Lifestealer was on point. Like he managed to read that butterfly by, immediately go into the MKB, taking out some of those item spikes from CTM, and just managing to really put a great fight to the Dusa. CTM was forced to kind of build up in a different way as well to counteract all the evasion on Lifestealer. It took a while for him to reach power parity, but once Boom managed to kind of take care of the Lifestealer, you know, protect CTM to a certain extent, they did manage to turn it. I have to say, the arrows coming in from Skill Lay definitely opened up those fights. Like always on CTM, always in the middle of these fights where they weren't able to get the 4 staffs off, they weren't able to defend the Dusa, just gave YG those openings and really put up a great fight against what a lot of people would consider one of the top teams in C, at least in this tournament. So keen to see what YG brings out next. Boom, it was up and down. They did manage to close out, but I think if you're YG, you're kind of feeling good about that. Like you still lost, of course, so it's not a great feeling, but you place up a really good fight. You're almost there if you can beat a team like Boom.
Certainly so. With that, we are going to head into game 2, and maybe they will be able to make it happen in this game 2. As we're going to go to a 10-minute break, and right after that break, we'll be back with Boom Esports against YG.